Yeah, the thing that really has kept me going every step of my journey, both in and out of real estate, has been the fact of enjoying the journey.
Thank you for joining us today for this week's Coach on the Clock. So just in case this is the first time you're joining us, I'm going to kind of run through real quick how we do it. So it's 15 minutes. We kind of run it like the fourth quarter of a Denver Broncos football game. So just like the Denver Broncos, we run out of timeouts. There are no timeouts. We will get a 2-minute warning. At 2 minutes, we're going to have the whistle blow, but that's it. 15 short minutes. So today I am joined by Zack Hewlett of the York Castle real estate team. Zack has been in the real estate market for just 2 years, but he's really making a name for himself and is lighting the world on fire. I've heard other realtors say to me, he is a superstar. So of course I had to reach out and get to know you. Because anytime your coworkers say that about you, you know, I need to know you. So Zack is our expert. And really, some of the things that a lot of realtors have asked me is, you know, with all the tough market that we are, you have to get buyers out there to look at properties, but you have a lot of COVID restrictions we've had from time to time. They come and they go, and then they come back again. And then you've had a lot of times where you're allowed to go into the property and the showing is like 15 quick minutes and that's about it. Or, you know, if you can get that, you're kind of running, you know, type thing. I know that you have said that you kind of got into the market pretty much knowing that was really where you started. So with all those kind of changes and all that kind of going against you, you've really kind of thrived in that market. So it was not anything that put you really rock and rolled with it. Yeah. So tell me, how do you show a potential buyer a home with all this craziness going on and not just show it to them, but let them really kind of feel whether that's going to be their home or not?
Yeah, really the biggest thing for me is in anticipation of any showing, it's setting the expectation, whether it's being prepared with the proper equipment, you know, masks, gloves, whatever is required. And then obviously with those short 15-minute windows, making sure that we're not lollygagging through a house, but being very purposeful and to the point as far as going through it. And then beyond that, most people that I've gone through homes with have not had an issue with it. It's just making them comfortable through the process. And obviously we've dealt with a lot over the last number of months.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So I understand that. So you've had a lot of buyers have expressed to me and so of course they kind of tell their mortgage people things that they would not tell anyone else. It's kind of fun, right? So they have expressed to me, they said, you know, I kind of felt like we got out of the car, we met our realtor at the front door, and almost as the door was opening, they asked us, do you want to put an offer in on it? So and they're kind of a little taken aback, but that is, you know, it's kind of the market that we're in these days. Yeah. So I know from reading your reviews and talking to your coworkers and that sort of thing that you really kind of specialize in personal service. So that is obviously not what you're doing, but you're selling homes in that kind of environment. So tell me, how are you kind of crossing that bridge where they still feel like they're getting that great personalized service, but you're still being able to act really quickly in this kind of market?
Right. Well, the biggest thing is obviously introducing yourself. If I hadn't met a buyer before, and then obviously setting the expectations, letting them know where we are as far as our market's concerned. Obviously pre-approvals and having a conversation with lenders if necessary is a huge part of what we do. And then making sure that they know that we're going in with a purpose to look at this house, make a fairly quick decision. Obviously, there's a number of different factors that go along with that, but making sure that they understand that this is the nature of where we are in our marketplace today, and then they go at their pace. That's really all we can do.
You mentioned to me before kind of having a list of items that they need, or that whatever, and then how much a percentage does that house need of that list, and kind of agreeing up front, knowing that no house was going to have 100%. Mm-hmm. Could you share a little bit about that? I thought that was very interesting. And I thought that probably separated you from a lot of other realtors that I've met.
Yeah.
Yeah. Could you share that?
Well, obviously, as we walk through homes, the ideal thing is to find a house that is 100% you. But that isn't always the case. And so as I've prepped my buyers, one of the things I always let them know is if this house checks 75 to 80% of the boxes, the other 20% will make itself up in the time that you live in the home and really make it your own. So giving them, again, that expectation and letting them know that we're not always going to walk into a perfect home. And rarely do we ever find that perfect home. It happens, but not as frequent as many buyers think, and helping them understand that that's what we're looking for. And if we can find that and they're willing to move forward, that's when we're going to go after it.
Mm-hmm. I think that makes sense, because I do think sometimes people get caught up on the details that can be changed.
Right.
Like maybe a school district cannot be changed.
Exactly.
So maybe we don't go look at something that's not in that school district.
Mm-hmm.
But the countertops.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Right. Like that's seriously.
Yep.
Yeah. You got it. But if you're not set up for that, I've had people literally, I'm sure you have, get so hung up on it mm-hmm. that they get priced themselves out of home.
Absolutely.
Over
yes, very true.
Right. Okay. So if you were meeting a buyer for the first time, and I know you do meet them, I meet a lot of either first-time home buyers or people that are moving up or people coming into the area for the first time. So it's really the first time you're meeting that home buyer. What is some of the best advice you give them coming into this market that they may not really be aware of or be prepared for? And they're excited about the idea of getting a new home, but maybe some of the nitty gritty that you kind of have to brace them for. But you don't want to turn them off, because you still want them to hire you.
Sure.
So where's that line? How do you kind of do that?
I think the biggest thing that I have told my buyers as I've worked with them is to let them know that, again, the pace is intense. It can get a little bit high intensity, high stress, but the bottom line is that's what I'm here for, is to help reduce the stress off of the shoulders of my buyers. And that puts them in a place where they feel more comfortable and confident in me doing my job as a real estate professional. And then really it's just them following my lead and allowing me to give them the direction that they need to go from getting their offer accepted to the closing table and getting them in their new house.
Sounds great. Now, we all know that that when we have such a market change, some realtors have actually called it a market disruption. That might be a little extreme, but they've used that phrase. But when we have that kind of change that we have experienced here, really in the last 18 months. Mm-hmm. So some realtors have said, hey, I'm getting out of it. This is too crazy, or I'm going to take a hiatus, or whatever the case may be. And then others like yourself have really thrived in these kind of markets. When you have that kind of market change going on, what do you say to realtors that are listening and they want to say, like, hey, I want to be one of those that really thrive. I've been doing this for a while, but I want to really take it up that notch. What is some of the advice that you can give that you've kind of learned that really is helping you take your business to that next level?
Yeah, for me, the biggest thing that I learned from day one is that real estate is not always suited for an individual to wear every hat. And so that's why I decided to join a team where we have a number of different individuals that are part of our team that may specialize or be better at one aspect of real estate that I may not be. And it gives me an opportunity to spend time with them and learn some of the ins and outs of what they've learned in their real estate business to help add that to my repertoire. So that's been really beneficial for me, is just spending time with other real estate agents, learning what they do that makes them different. Our team with the Sandoval team has been an incredible asset for me, because it's given me the opportunity to have senior leadership and direction, but also they've given me quite an awesome opportunity to go out and do what I do best, which is enjoy being with people and helping them buy homes.
So if I understood you correctly, what you're saying is you don't have to be the expert on it.
No, absolutely. I would call myself a professional, but I'm not an expert by any means. I also have learned a great deal of humility in making sure that people understand that if I don't have the answer to somebody, I'm going to say I don't know, but I can find out. And more often than not, people are gracious enough to give me that opportunity.
I find that too.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
find that's a great thing around here.
Yes.
Well, there is our 2-minute warning. So, as you know, when we have the 2-minute warning, this is it. So I always like to ask for the 2-minute warning. What advice, either in sales or out of sales or just general advice, what is some of the best advice you've ever received that you'd like to share with our listeners?
Yeah, the thing that really has kept me going every step of my journey, both in and out of real estate, has been the fact of enjoying the journey. We work in a very unique industry where we're able to interact with people from all walks of life. And that has given me some different perspectives on how I live. But at the same time, it helps me appreciate the wonderful land we live in. We have so many rich opportunities in Colorado. And it's just been part of my mantra as I've moved forward in my career. It's just enjoy the journey.
I like that. I do. And plus, with the hours we work, we better enjoy it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. That's so true.
Exactly. So, as somebody listening, they say, I love some of the ideas that you've come up with. Love to chat with you a little bit more about it. Are you willing to share? Can they get in touch with you?
Absolutely. Easiest way to get me is my cell phone. You can call or text. The number is 801-815-1467. Or you can email me. My email is Zack, spelled ZACK, at thesandovalteam.com.
Well, thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Well, we are,
yeah,
it's really been fun. It's been nice to get to know you a little bit. And I could certainly see why people at your castle are definitely talking about you. So keep up the good work. I can't wait to see what you do.
Thanks, Marietta.
And that is it for this week's edition of Coach on the Clock. Can't wait to see you guys next week.